Otherworlds is a science fantasy tabletop RPG, and what that basically means is it's its own universe, similar to Star Trek, Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. It's its own identity, it's its own brand, its own universe, and with it being a tabletop RPG, it allows you to play as any of the characters that you want to make for that universe. So it allows you to play a wide scope of characters, any type of personality traits, any sort of backstory, any sort of equipment or anything else you want to tie into that, you get to have that in Otherworlds. The tabletop RPG is a role-playing game that you play on a tabletop, such as your desk, or you can even play it on the floor even, or whatever, with your friends. It usually uses a set of rules to kind of explain the guidelines of how the game is played, and then usually most tabletop RPGs use dice. In Otherworld's case, you usually want to use dice. It's a D6 system, so that just means that you usually want a bunch of D6s, which are 6-sided dice, and you just kind of follow the rules. So whenever you attack an enemy, you roll the D6 and you apply it to your attack or your strength or whatever's needed for that roll. And it's sort of like playing a board game without having to need the board. It's a lot of fun, and I highly suggest you play a tabletop role-playing game if you haven't already. Other famous tabletop RPGs, they either seem to cover a fantasy like Dungeons and Dragons, or they would just have the same Middle Earth kind of vibe going on, which is cool. Like, I love it, but there were a lot of repeats of that. And then from the other side of the spectrum, for the science side of it, there was a lot of science horror kind of stuff going on, like aliens and stuff. And I really wasn't looking for either one of those in particular. I wanted like a fun, adventurous science fantasy feel. Similar to if you were to take Borderlands and combine it with Magic the Gathering and combine that with Final Fantasy and just get this awesome blend of a science fantasy feel. And that's really what I was trying to achieve in Otherworlds that I feel like wasn't already out in the market. So that's why it's not only been in development for 2 years, but over that 2-year period of time, I played a lot of Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, Shadowrun, and all these other tabletop games. I was like, okay, I see where my game's messing up. This is how I can fix it. And I incorporated some elements that I liked and kind of changed them to fit the skeleton of the Otherworlds build. And I think incorporating all these different elements from the creative and design perspectives has really made something unique. In the 2 years of playtesting, I've not come across the same 2 characters twice. Every character has been unique and different. Even the ones that sort of both resemble gunslingers have been not only different on a character level, but different on a gameplay and mechanical level as well, which is really what I wanted to achieve, because I hate playing games where if you play as the same type character as another person, you have one route to go, that's the best route to go, and if you're not playing that, then your character is crappy. Or even the fact that you're just playing the same thing as someone else. When you're playing a role-playing game, you want to be able to express yourself, and so I really wanted to allow that in this game and not to be so strict and just being stuck as being this, as being stuck as someone else.